The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Ready for your next big move? The trip from the fridge to the couch. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Now you're welcome along to the Football Show. Very happy to say Damien Delaney is with us. Evening.
Hey Joe.
Which game have you gone for this evening?
Liverpool. I kind of started off watching both, but the Liverpool one is much more riveting, I suppose. There's more kind of subplots, and it seems a little bit more interesting. Manchester City started off a little bit routine, as you'd expect, so I kind of stuck with the Liverpool one.
Yeah, so City, anyone tuning in, are 1-0 up at home to Dortmund. De Bruyne, he intercepted a Emre Can pass, started the move and finished the move. They're on top in that game, 65% possession. They've had 3 times as many passes as Dortmund. Dortmund not without the occasional moment, it should be said. So I suspect City will look for a second goal promptly enough in the second half, which is just underway now. Dortmund were, there was a ball taken off Ederson's foot. I'm not sure it was a free, but the free out was given, for instance, and a few more moments like that. But City 1-0 up. It's in Madrid where the story is. Real Madrid 2, Liverpool 0. For a start, isn't it quite weird watching this? Obviously, they're getting work done on the Bernabeu in their, their academy team's ground. And, it's like watching an academy match. No fans there, tiny little stadium. You kind of have to keep reminding yourself this is a Champions League quarter-final.
Yeah, it's been like that all year. I don't think it's helped Real Madrid massively either. But certainly on nights like tonight, you want that atmosphere that's generated by a hostile home crowd or even a vociferous away crowd. You want to be able to hear that, but I do agree with you. It does tend to be like a kind of a practice match, an 11v11 in training that the kind of managers put on that's lacking something. But having said that, it's the same for both teams, and unfortunately, the minute to Liverpool, it's on the receiving end.
Well, it sure is. 47% possession Madrid, so Liverpool have edged out possession marginally. Madrid have had 9 shots, 5 of them on target. Liverpool have had 0 shots, full stop, off target or on target. So the first goal, the Vinicius goal, Damien, on 27 minutes. I guess it's largely about the quality of the ball from Kroos, but Liverpool probably shouldn't be beaten by a ball like that. You might describe it for people who haven't seen it yet. Yeah,
like Toni Kroos just dropped into a deep line midfield, maybe about 10, 15 yards in his own half, picked the ball up and got his head up. Now he's hit a ball of the supreme quality. He's put it right on the money, and Vinicius, who's playing on the left wing, kind of makes that internal run from the left wing in between the right back and the right side centre back, right back being Trent and right side centre back being Phillips. And just the timing of the run and the quality of the ball is right on the money, and it's just cleared Phillips, just got above him. Unfortunately, Trent was kind of more worried about Mendy, it seems, the left back, who was high and wide on the left hand side, and that gap kind of appeared, but Vinicius' first touch is right across the back of Nat Phillips, and it's a wonderful finish too. Look, I think an experienced, world-class centre-back doesn't get caught with a ball like that. He sees it coming, or he gives himself enough time and enough space, but he just probably dropped a split second too late, and that's all it is. I'll be very reluctant to crucify the young fella because he's done really well for Liverpool this season when he's come in. I think he's been pretty decent recently, but that's a huge learning experience. When you come up against players of that quality, I suppose you have to be thinking he could put this on the back of me. No, as I said, he only had about a 2-yard window to drop it in from 60 yards, but Toni Kroos can do that.
10 minutes later, Asensio said, "Thanks very much, Trent."
Yeah, pretty much the opposite of what Toni Kroos did, a nothing ball in behind. It's floating straight onto Trent Alexander's head. He's probably on the corner of the 18-yard box in his right back spot, and he inexplicably decides to try and head it back to Alisson, but he heads it square across the 18-yard box, and Asensio's waiting, and listen, everyone can talk about Trent's mistake, but what Asensio did after that was truly breathtaking. With Alisson Becker coming out, he's just flicked it over him, ran round him, and tapped it into an empty net. It was unbelievable bit of skill. And I think that if Trent didn't make that mistake, I think that's what we'll be talking about. But I suppose all the Liverpool and English and Irish media will be talking about the mistake. And it was a horrific mistake, and Trent's having an awful night. I mean, as bad as it gets, really.
Yeah. I didn't get to see a replay of this moment, so I wasn't sure if Trent was trying to head the ball back to Alisson or if he was just stretching so much that he didn't get the header he wanted on the ball. So you think he was trying to get it back to Alisson, having looked at it again?
Well, I think so. I mean, otherwise, he could have readjusted, maybe gone for it with his feet, possibly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was trying to do.
So he wasn't at like total full stretch where he just got like, a flicker of his hair on it. He had enough time to adjust his body one way or another.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that he could have picked up the fight that he was going to be, struggling to get his head on it. So he could have like readjusted and kind of got his left boot on it and kind of help it away towards the dugout side here. I think he was trying to head it back to the goalkeeper. I do, yeah.
It's interesting. Did you see Monday Night Football last night or any of the Neville Carragher stuff on Trent?
No, I didn't, to be honest. Yeah, I read a little bit about it today. I don't know what they said first and foremost.
I'll give you a sense. So they were obviously trying to jazz up the Wolves game, which they didn't think would be very good, and it turned out to be really good. So they were picking their England squads and talking all things England. And Alexander-Arnold came up as, a big talking point, as Liverpool may be in here. Ball's in the net. Salah's got it in the net. Does it count? Does it count? There's a Real Madrid hand in the air. Referee's walking back. Hard to know if he's been spoken to yet. Liverpool are celebrating. 50 minutes on the clock here. This is Salah to make it Real Madrid 2, Liverpool 1.
This would be huge, by the way. I mean, just to get the away goal and salvage something out of this.
Yeah. They'd almost take 2-1 now and run if they could get out of here with that. So we're seeing...
I think he's onside, I think the right back on the far side, I think it's Vasquez plays him on.
Yeah.
I
think he does. Looking at the lines on the pitch, he does play him on. So it's Jota, and he has the ball just inside the area, tries to get a shot away, and it's blocked down, but it trickles through to Salah, who takes a touch and is more than happy to put that in the net. I'm just seeing the replay again. Shot, comes to Salah, struggles to get control of it for a second, Salah. Gets it out of his feet, kind of toe pokes it at the keeper, who gets a heady. The keeper actually gets a big hand to it, which knocks it into the ground, then up, underside of the crossbar and in. 52 minutes on the clock, Real Madrid 2, Liverpool 1. As you said, that's huge. I think they'd take that now, would they?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, the interesting about this game is, as bad as Liverpool were, Real Madrid were decent in the first half. Both these teams are searching for something. They're not quite where they want to be or quite where they were. And I think either team could have performed as badly in the first half and been 2-0 down. You probably would have said that's fair enough. So it might be a race to the bottom with these two. Really, they're really not in a good place or an amazing place. Maybe not a good place, a bit harsh, but not an amazing place or where they want to be. So Liverpool could quite comfortably turn this round because Real Madrid, I think, with Ramos missing and Varane is obviously huge, but they never got going in the first half. So
yeah, they're certainly not at the standard when they both contested the final a couple of years ago, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Neville and Carragher were picking their England teams, and Trent came up for a lot of discussion. And Neville was very much of the opinion that he doesn't think Southgate is going to take Alexander-Arnold to the Euros. He said that leaving him out of the recent international break was very much a precursor, that he's preparing everyone for this bombshell, because obviously Alexander-Arnold does so many wonderful things, and he was looking at Alexander-Arnold. Oh, had a chance for Liverpool. Jota, just wide.
Trent's just hit as we're talking about.
An unbelievable ball.
Yeah, one of the best cross-field passes you'll ever see in your life.
It's a typical Trent outside of the boot, half volley, which travels like 40 yards, amazing trajectory, and lands on the head of Jota. So anyway, look, he's no good. That's what we're saying. So Neville was making the point that next to Kyle Walker and to Trippier and even to Reece James, that Alexander-Arnold defensively isn't good enough for Southgate. And he was saying Kyle Walker is about the best all-rounder. He was saying Trippier, has a lot of good things going for him. And then if you want physicality, potentially against certain opposition, Reece James could be your guy. And so Neville said things like, who's Trent going to be playing against in the big games? Hazard, Leroy Sané, Kylian Mbappe, Diogo Jota, Cristiano Ronaldo. Who will they want to play against? They'll say, I'll let Trent bomb forward, he'll leave space in behind, and I'll have Trent, as in they want Trent to play. And so he said he doesn't think he does enough defensively to justify what he does going forward, and he thinks Southgate's going to leave him out. Now, I mean, it got kind of high-pitched at one point where I think the last part of the conversation was like Carragher squeezing it in before the ads came in. He said, if you pick Kieran Trippier over Trent, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. You know, it was that kind of exchange. It was really good TV, but yeah. Neville, I think, you know, on balance, I didn't get to see the end of it. I think on balance he would, if he was picking the team, take Trent. I'm open to correction on that, someone might text in. But certainly he doesn't think Southgate will, and he explained why. He thinks in these one-off knockout games, tournament football, there is a kind of pragmatism that comes into play. And he said Trent really isn't at the races defensively.
Well, obviously there's a lot of validity in what he just said there and what those guys spoke about last night. But I think a fit, flying and in form Trent goes, you know, he's too good. He's too good a right back, offensively as well. You know, there might come a stage where you're losing a game after an hour in the knockout stages and you have a large chunk of possession, and you would like to have Trent in your side then, because he is one of the best attacking right backs in the world when he's on his day. I think him being dropped out of the England squad is just more his form. You know, they're stacked with options in that part of the pitch. So it could be the jolt that he needed. And we thought we saw that when he played against Arsenal at the weekend. We thought, OK, here we go. But then he shows up tonight and puts in a type of performance that he has. Having said that, he's just just floated another one in. Like, he is a tremendously good attacking right back. And of course, he's flawed defensively. But if I agree with what they say, Kyle Walker probably is the best at kind of, he's good at everything, if you understand what I mean. He's kind of, you know, really good defensively and he's really good attacking wise. He's, you know, obviously Trent, I think, is better attacking wise and Wan-Bissaka is the best defender, that type of thing. But I can't, and in form, Trent is basically what I'm trying to say. I can't not see him in the England squad. Yeah.
He did, Neville talked about Wan-Bissaka as well and said, look, he's just not good enough on the ball. Like, opposition just say here, let Wan-Bissaka have it, and you know, let it take care of everybody else, and so that's the issue there. But defensively, one-on-one, he's brilliant. I mean, with Alexander-Arnold, is your sense? I'm putting you on the spot a bit here, but is your sense that he switches off, and that's the issue? Is it like moments like tonight? Because I mean, I don't know if it's fair to really have a go at someone saying, well, he bombs forward and therefore there's space in behind. Like, if you're asking him to bomb forward as a brilliant attacking right back, you can't really say, oh, well, look, you leave space in behind then. So it has to be a bit about more than that.
Yeah, look, I mean, his productivity has definitely dropped off as an attacking right back. And I think that his vulnerability is being shown up a little bit because he's in a team that's struggling and he's coming under an awful lot of pressure. And of course, Liverpool aren't as free flowing and as kind of dominant as what they were. So, you know, the microscope or the magnifying glass, I suppose, is on his defending a little bit more. But it's just a lull in a very, very young career.
Yeah. Because I think he's so brilliant. I mean, he's just so wonderfully gifted. And there are times where he hits passes you just cannot believe. Like, as we're watching phase of play here, and actually it could be dangerous for Liverpool. Benzema gets a shot away. But we were watching phase of play there where Madrid had the ball and they were switching play at certain times, or they were down Alexander-Arnold's channel at certain times. Like, in those moments, he's making okay decisions for you, is he? He's tuned in. I mean, he looks to be largely okay to me in those 5 minutes there. I don't see someone who's all over the shop by any means.
No, he's not. He's not as bad a defender as what he's making people make out to be. I think he's a decent defender. He's just not a world-class defender. But his best form of defence for the last number of years has been attack. For Liverpool, it's just been bombing forward, and people haven't had a chance to pin him in because Liverpool haven't been pinned in. No, granted, we're talking about England here, so you have to kind of put that into context insofar as in an England team, he may be asked to defend an awful lot more. But I'm not saying he should be starting right back for England. I think that probably Kyle Walker is the best of all-round attributes. Yeah. But the scenario I put forward that if they're 1-0 down to Spain in the semi-finals and they're having a large chunk of the game, then, my God, I couldn't think of anyone better to come off the bench.
His cross at the weekend against Arsenal was outrageous.
Yeah. He's even here now in the second half. He's certainly perked up a little bit. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he should start for England, as I said, but I don't see a scenario where you don't bring him if he finishes the season really strongly. If he finishes it in the form that he was in all year, then I think there's an argument to leave him out. Absolutely, I think there are better options. But if he gets himself going, then I think you have to have him in the squad.
Well, Jamie Carragher will agree with that. I think he was definitely...
See, that's the thing about all these arguments. When you hear these lads arguing about Liverpool, like Manchester United, Liverpool ex-players arguing about current Man United, Liverpool players, you're always going to get a slanted take on it. You know, Jamie Carragher's never going to give you an honest opinion. Well, maybe not honest, but, you know, Gary Neville as well. You know, if they see a chance to have a little sneaky punch at a current Liverpool player, they'll take it. So you got to kind of take all that into account when you listen to these two argue.
I think Naby Keita was taken off and Thiago was thrown on before half-time, 42 minutes. 40. I mean, it was like, give the guy the 3 minutes so it doesn't have the ignominy of walking off before half-time. So Keita off and Thiago on. Was that a move you saw coming? Did they miss Thiago tonight?
I didn't see it coming after 43 minutes. Like you said, you'd normally let a fella get in. I just wonder, was it an injury of some description or something that we didn't quite show up? I couldn't quite tell. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it was, because, you know, if it was a tactical shift, you would have waited the 2 minutes, you know. I mean, unless Klopp was really, really irate with Naby Keita's performance, which, you know, Klopp didn't seem to be too irate. I've seen him worse on the touchline. I know he's not great, to be honest with you, but I've seen him worse. But Thiago's come on and added something. I think Thiago alongside Fabinho's a nice little... And obviously Gino Wijnaldum in there as well. But I just think that Fabinho's been really, really good recently for Liverpool since he went back into the middle of the park. And I think Thiago can flourish alongside him.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on this game, obviously. So 60 minutes on the clock. Real Madrid 2, Liverpool 1. Much better sheen off that than there was at half-time from a Liverpool perspective, that's for sure. And then Man City still 1-0 up against Borussia Dortmund. You suspect they would much like a second leg in Germany. So you got the night off this evening. You're not in the Virgin studio.
No. Keith's making a comeback, so I think people were maybe kind of sick of seeing me, Brian, and Niall for the. It was the three of us just carrying the can, you know. But Keith's kind of back in the mix now, so there'll be a little bit less nights to do, which isn't a bad thing, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, naturally enough, we have the clip here. He was asked about the situation with Ireland over the last couple of games. So here's Tommy Martin and Keith Andrews. Have a listen.
Can I put some of the criticisms to you, Keith, and you can say accept whether they're valid or bat them away, and because this is obviously stuff that has been in the public discourse. For example, what about the criticism that the style of play that Stephen wants to play, it doesn't suit the players that we have, that they're not good enough to play it, and that we need to be more pragmatic and more results-based? Yeah, look, I can't be a hypocrite, and you know, when you don't win in 11 games, you have to take criticism. That's part and parcel of the gig. We're sat here tonight in a role where we'll pick holes in Real Madrid and Liverpool, so it comes with the territory. In terms of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve, absolutely suits the players. There's no doubt. The belief that we have in the player, the plans, the processes, let's be accurate with this, the timing of when we took over, what's gone on previously in terms of the FAI hasn't been good. During a pandemic, the amount of players that we've missed compared to, say, this trip, going back to the very first game in Bulgaria, the amount of players that were missing from then, even the likes of McGoldrick, Darren Randolph, Conor Houraghan, James McCarthy. So you try to plan in a certain way. You have to be very, very adaptable in this job. There's no doubt about it. I've watched probably 40, 50 games between the November camp and this camp. Different levels, so you're always gauging player playing at League One compared to a player playing against Salah and Mane. Very difficult to gauge that in players that are in form. Tricky times in terms of triple header windows. But in terms of the style that we're trying to employ, I've worked with some of these players since they were 15 years of age, a lot of the younger ones. I've watched some of the senior players playing for their clubs in England. They are capable of playing. I think the one thing that I would say, going back to the very, very start, there has to be a belief. There has to be a belief in their own abilities at times and in terms of what we do collectively.
So pretty defined again. Real Madrid are in here. It's a 2v1. Oh, Trent Alexander-Arnold coming to the rescue. Have a bit of that, Neville, he says.
Great covering, Shape Mir. They got caught in the counter attack very, very quickly there. People that aren't watching it and heard what you just said, Joe, there, where you said, oh, Real Madrid are away. Trent Alexander-Arnold, everyone's going, wait, what has he done? It's a good thing.
Yeah, not no G.
Yeah, he covered Rowe brilliantly there and perfectly timed tackle. And,
that was a 2v1. That was a big let-off.
Yeah, like he covered Rowe really, really well there, in fairness to him.
Madrid aren't great, aren't they not?
No, neither of them are. As I said, you could be a race at the bottom between these two.
Yeah.
But, Real Madrid, if they could get through this round, they might get themselves going. Like, this team might have a little, oh my God.
As I was saying, Madrid, I think, really good. Really good. It's 3-1. Bad news, Liverpool fans. That came from nothing. So, Alexander-Arnold saved the day after Madrid broke away from their own corner. And then it either went out for a throw-in or a corner. Either way, it was if it was a corner, it was taken short. Looks like Vinicius is getting the credit again in the celebrations. He's hugging Benzema. Yeah, it looks like Vinicius scoring his second of the night. We're seeing.
Could Alisson have done better on that one?
Yeah, he got a big hand to it, didn't he?
It was
a throw-in. We'll see the move here. So Benzema, tidy experience, takes the throw-in, gets it back to Modric, and Modric, under not much pressure, comes into the Liverpool box, left-footed pass along the ground to Vinicius. Also, not under much pressure, you would have to say, Vinicius, and he gets his right foot to it, side foots it, kind of hooks it around the corner, and Alisson
has to save that.
Has to save it, yeah. There's nothing good about that goal from Liverpool perspective,
not, no.
Isn't there not?
No, that's a simple throw in into Benzema, set back to the thrower, square ball along the edge of the 18-yard box to Modric, who then just moves it on swiftly to a square pass again, and Vinicius is on the penalty spot, just comes off Kabak. And yeah, it's a tidy finish, but I think Alisson, a goalkeeper at this level, would be pretty upset with himself that he didn't get that round the post. I think they're crucial moments where you need your goalkeeper to step up and make saves.
Could be another one. Could be another one. Ooh, Vinicius got in behind again. Dear, right, okay. 3-1 Real Madrid. I mean, as you said, it was just all tidy play from Madrid. If you're Benzema in your kind of 33 now and you're Modric in your 30s now, I mean, that's just a dream kind of scenario, isn't it? You can just use your technique, be tidy on the ball, not much pressure, and work a goal. I don't know, that was unbelievably soft.
It was they didn't lay a glove on him from the throw-in, really, and I think Liverpool were really disappointed with that. Maybe Jordan Henderson in the middle of the park, you can't help but think that he'd have been snapping around there, or he'd been shouting at people or screaming at people and injecting a bit of life into them defensively. But look, Liverpool are more than comfortable with getting another one here and going back to Anfield at 3-2, so all is not lost for them. But they are two teams that are not in a pretty place.
On Keith Andrews, I know I haven't talked to you obviously over the international break. I know you were very busy with Virgin amongst other things, so he's sounding fairly defiant tone there, like Stephen Kenny did signing off, where he kind of on TV and in the press conference really stated his belief that they're on the right track. And Keith there acknowledged it's kind of difficult to do it when you're off the back of 11 games and no wins, but certainly belief in their methods and what they're trying to do, and belief in the players absolutely remains. I mean, what else is he going to say publicly? The cynics will say, but he's saying it all the same.
Yeah, I agree with Keith, and I was disappointed for him in the window. I mean, they got the job some time ago, and all was geared toward that Serbia game, and I think it just went a little bit flat and didn't quite pan out how they were hoping. But Keith's a strong character. He's very, very angry, I suppose, or very.
He is. He's got an angry head in him. We know that. We can say that. He won't mind.
But Keith will come out swinging. Yeah. No matter if you say anything. I played with Keith with several teams, and he will come out swinging, and he is very strong-headed like that, which you'd expect and which you'd want him to be. So that defiant tone that he struck there tonight doesn't surprise me with him, but it's good. Keith is a very, very thorough guy. He will work hard, and he will die trying, really, to implement his principles. So I'm still believing. I'm still with him. I still think they can move the needle a little bit, maybe not as much or as dynamically as everyone would have hoped. But they're learning as well, and I kind of do agree with them. They have been tough times, but Keith will come out swinging, and I'm pleased for him.
Yeah, I say he's an angry head in him in an affectionate way. It's an admirable thing. He's which is great, and they'll need that defiance because I thought, and we're not going to labour this point because we've talked about the Ireland stuff a lot, but I think it's good that when Kenny signed off and then Keith this evening, they're not looking, shell-shocked after what's happened and the Luxembourg result. There's a degree, if the players pay attention to this stuff at all and we're having doubts of their own, I think it's probably important publicly and privately for management to not show any doubt. Even if who knows, they are sitting in the room, just the two of them or the three of them saying, geez, maybe we do need a bit more experience here, or maybe we do need to be a bit more pragmatic at times. But I mean, they're private conversations.
Yeah, look, it's a huge ask what the two of them have undertaken. Like, I mean, it really is. It's colossal to undo 8 or 9 or 10 years of neglect for around the national team, and not putting the structures in place and not quite being on the correct path. They're probably trying to undo a little bit before they can start building. But like any renovation, as soon as you start taking things apart and trying to redo it, you start finding maybe the foundations aren't what they were, or, and you start uncovering more damage, and it's a long process. I think we've all watched enough Grand Designs to realise that everyone starts out with the greatest of intentions, great budget, good time scale, and then all of a sudden it's still there 5 years later. So
are you saying this is the money pit? Yeah.
It seems to be that way, yeah. But look, if with enough perseverance and enough hard work, I suppose that they will get it right, or as I said, Keith will die trying.
And on the quality front, Callum Robinson, it's Shamrock Bridge at the weekend to segue away from Ireland as such. I'm glad we could get the fitness into Callum Robinson so we could do a job for Sam Allardyce. I mean, I love that we're helping him out that way. He loves playing against Chelsea, that's for sure. So these were really high quality goals, weren't they?
That first one was an incredible finish. I mean, the technique that he had to have for that ball coming back at him, bouncing, and just instep and cushion it into the top corner was fantastic. Here come Real Madrid again. Sorry, Joe.
No, well spotted. Well spotted. Benzema saved.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite a good breakaway that from Real Madrid. But look, he done brilliant. We got, as you said, we got some minutes into his legs for him.
Delighted to be of service. But when that moment in Belgrade, and he was involved in the Collins chance as well against Luxembourg. I mean, if he'd had a bit more fitness, he could have been one of the real bright sparks. So, that's a little bit of hope. And maybe Sam Allardyce gives him some game time now. Yeah, but also, you look at the position he was playing pretty much as a front two for Ireland, which I don't think necessarily suits him. I know I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of it all over again, but, I just think that, he's the type of player that likes coming on to things. Probably he definitely looks like somebody that likes to see the picture and kind of float around and pop up in nice little spaces. Where he's up front, he's kind of chasing balls in behind, he's battling with centre backs, balls are getting played into him, and he's kind of wondering, am I going to get clattered here or not? So I suppose we have to take that into account as well. Kepa and Antonio Rudiger had a big fight in the training ground the next day, apparently. Nothing to do with the match, but we needed to interfere in the situation. It was so serious, said Tuchel. Now it's all good. He says the way they handled it afterwards was amazing. Kovacic was asked about this. He shrugged and said this is just not a big deal. This is the ultimate cliche. This stuff is not a big deal. I do have you down as a training ground scrapper, I got to be honest. You would have the potential, in the best sense, a la Keith Andrews, to have an angry head in you at times as well, I suspect. So did you have to rein this in? Were you a training ground scrapper at times, or where are you in all this? After
the result that they had, I'm not surprised. I think that the emotions are running high, and sometimes people are on edge, and sometimes it can be a kind of a sarky comment or a jokey comment or something with maybe a little bit of innuendo that was nothing to do with the game. But obviously, when tensions are running high, that's taken completely the wrong way, and it can get out of hand. And I suppose once one person escalates it, it's very, very hard to de-escalate it then. But I think two players, the last time we had a discussion about this was the whole Steve Bruce thing, where we thought that the manager and the player was not of the most normal, even though Newcastle were trying to say this happens at training grounds up and down the country week in, week out, which isn't necessarily true. But I certainly think that two players fighting after a poor result is not an amazing story, to be honest with you. And I'm pretty sure they're both professional enough to put it behind them and move on with it. I presume it's less common across your career. I mean, players are different. I presume it isn't happening as frequently. See, there's an awful lot of reasons why these things can happen. Sometimes it can just be, Rudiger going in for a ball in training and the keeper taking exception to it, and all of a sudden he stands up and, like as I said, tensions are running high, and it's something out of nothing. It happens, every day when we watch football. Players just square up to each other. But also in a training ground, you don't have to worry about a red card, so you might be willing to put it a little bit further. Or it could be two players that have a completely clash of personalities and it's been brewing and bubbling along for a while. Or it could just be someone came in and said the wrong thing, or somebody overheard something. So there's many different scenarios for this. But, people are upset, people are angry after what had happened. So there's not a whole pile in it. They're professionals, and I'm pretty sure they'll put it behind them. And
less common over the years, or as much in training grounds as ever, really? I
think less fights, less common. I think that, a lot of people aren't really of that mindset anymore. There might be a lot of verbals and whatnot in training if somebody's not happy. But I think if two players don't like each other and there is a clash of personalities, they're more likely just to avoid each other and just stay out of each other's way and just respect each other as professionals, if not as people. But insofar as the fist throwing, they're very, very, very rarely. I didn't see much of it, to be honest with you, but it did still happen.
Where were you on after a big defeat like that, where 5-2 in Chelsea's case, but regardless of the team, performance is just not good enough, and manager says, right, in for training tomorrow, everyone, your day off is now officially cancelled. Did you like crankiness the next day? Did you want everyone at each other a bit? Did you want a bit of unhappiness, or would your spidey sense has been alerted if everyone was a bit too bloody happy?
Yeah, you wanted an edge in the training ground.
And would you bring it then? Would you make damn sure I'm going to be cranky here?
Yeah, you might even just start a fight just for just the crack, really, just to get everyone going. But it can be a good thing. It's a sign that a team's in a good place because they're really, really upset that they lost the game. They won't be upset that they got dragged in. That won't be a surprise at all, even though it was probably down as a day off. But they got dragged in because they obviously got a huge game coming up, and the managers didn't want people maybe doing their own cool downs at home, or stewing on it, and then maybe coming in Monday, and people sometimes when the result doesn't go the way, they don't sleep well, or they don't eat well, or whatever. So it's just a case, just get people in, we'll discuss it, we'll put it to bed, we'll switch the focus straight away to the game midweek, and we'll get back on track. I mean, they've had an amazing run since he's come in. It will be mildly alarming to Tuchel, the extent of the collapse, even though they were 1-0 up when they went down to 10 men. I mean, how many times have we seen Chelsea and top teams do that before, especially against a team in the relegation zone, and go on to win 3-0? But I just think that the capitulation might be a little bit worrying for him, and I think he will probably be looking very, very hard as to how that happened. What did they do that kind of invited that?
Yeah, agreed. They've Porto tomorrow, and that ends his 14-match unbeaten run. So as you say, it's a hell of a way to end the run. 76 minutes on the clock. Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1. Manchester City 1-0 up against Borussia Dortmund. Still no second goal for City. Loads more to talk to Damien about. I suspect the Arsenal training ground was just an oasis of calm even after their 3-0 defeat. High fives all round. Jesse Lingard's form at West Ham. We have Jose as well, same coach, different players, and it seems in all the papers today the playing squad, quote, losing patience is what's in a lot of the papers with Mourinho and his critiques. So we'll take a short break. Back with Damien next.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Fake crowd noise? The Emirates never sounded so good. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie. What does the future of our country look like? Will we live in a cashless society? Is the Leaving Cert history? What about the congestion in our cities? In a new series on News Talk, we're looking at how we can reimagine Ireland in some of the most important facets of Irish life. Follow the series and have your say on News Talk.
Audi Ireland's dealer network is here to help you choose your new Audi. Browse our range of petrol, diesel, hybrid and fully electric vehicles online. The health and safety of staff and customers remains our priority. We have social distancing measures and personalised solutions in place to help you experience and safely choose the right Audi for you. Contact your local authorised Audi dealer today to arrange an appointment. Future is an attitude. Future is an Audi.
Boyle Sports now has dozens of new player markets on the Boyle Sports app, powered by Opta. Fancy that informed striker? Markets now available on shots, left foot, right foot and headed goals. Or how about total passes, tackles, assists? They're all available on every match. Boyle Sports. This is betting. Gamble responsibly. See gamblingcare.ie 18+.
A simple laptop. To us, a means of communication. To someone in direct provision, it can be life-changing. Promising hope and opportunity. Providing access to education and a brighter future. At Windows for Opportunity, we're asking for your help. By gifting a laptop to a resident or donating, you can help those who need help the most. Search Windows for Opportunity on GoFundMe or find out more at recruitrefugees.ie.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Ready for your next big move? The trip from the fridge to the couch. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Into the last 10 minutes now in the Champions League games. Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1. And at the Etihad, still Manchester City 1, Borussia Dortmund 0. Football on Off the Ball is with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit gamblingcare.ie. So Jose Mourinho, Newcastle 2, Spurs 2. They're 6. They're 3 points off West Ham. Repeated defensive woes, Damien, and it was interesting that when he was pushed on 5 Live about what's going wrong, and in particular, given that he's been able to organise defences very well in the past, what's going wrong, he simply said, same coach, different players. And
that's not good.
You wince a little bit and you say, ooh, someone's getting fed up. Matt Law, amongst several in the Telegraph today, but it was in various papers, losing patience, that was the quote. Playing squad are, quote, losing patience with Mourinho. Julian Nagelsmann's name was mentioned. Just on that, so like Matt Law, and I think there were various others, I think Henry Winter had something similar. I absolutely do not doubt their credentials, so I just want to be very clear on that. But, you know, it depends who they're talking to. Like, if Harry Kane says I'm losing patience, then this is a really big deal. If it's the number 17 and 18 and 19 in the squad saying, yeah, we're all losing patience, then it's a different story depending on who it's on the, you know, who's on the fringes and who's really thinking it. I mean, have you ever, I suspect you've been involved in teams where you're seeing quotes in the papers about how good or terrible things are, and you're thinking, I don't think that. I think things are okay. So, you know, there's that element here as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen to quotes that never appear in the paper if things are going well.
Well, true.
So, I mean,
things are great. Yeah. Headline.
So I think it's safe to say, and it's not a secret. Things aren't going well at Spurs. It's just a case of who does the chairman back.
But it's also a case of who's saying, like, you know, there is a difference between Harry Kane saying it and the fringe players.
I don't know, you know, Joe. I tell you, it's you know, the fringe players could drag a training ground down as much as, or as equally as much as what Harry Kane could. Okay. You know, if anything more so, because I think that Harry Kane is playing. So even if he's not happy, he's still kind of happy because he's playing every week and he's scoring goals and things are going okay for him. And, you know, centre forwards tend to have that selfish streak, and then rightly so, because they're the goal scorers, and, you know, if they're scoring, they're pretty happy. But if you're 17, 18, 19 man that you said there aren't happy, oh my God, the training ground can fall apart very, very quickly. Okay. You know, I remember I had, I'll just tell you a quick story with Tony Pulis. You know, he would come in to our training ground in the morning to the canteen, like, and he would just like walk straight past me and, you know, not speak to me or anything, like, not speak to me, but, you know, not pay it. He might say morning, but that would be it, you know. Then he'd go and he'd have breakfast with, you know, the 16, 17, 18 man that you were talking about, you know. And I remember speaking. I remember speaking to him. We were on pre-season in Austria one day, and I remember chatting away to him. And obviously, I was a bit older, so maybe, you know, he would say these things. But he said to me, like, he goes, "I don't have to worry about you. You're playing, so like, I don't need to worry about where your head's at." He said, "But if my second 11 throw the towel in, training's going to disintegrate very, very quickly, because you guys will train hard, but I can't have 3 or 4." He said, "not training well, because the session will fall apart." That's just to your point there, but on a broader kind of.
No, it's a great point. It's a great point. It's a great point, because I wouldn't have seen it that way. I would have thought, well, once he has his his core players on board, namely Harry Kane leading that merry dance, then things are okay. But you do make a great point. I mean, the vibrant training ground, to use your word, I can see how that disintegrates.
Yeah, but Jose's wily enough to know that as well. Or I think Jose's just complaining because he knows that he's on tenterhooks at the minute, or I think he knows he's on thin ice. And I think it's almost like a rallying cry to the chairman of, are you going to get me what I need, or are you going to sack me? And I think Jose is as black and white as that. And I think that's pretty much what was behind that message that he was saying. He's like saying, I need 5 or 6 players. The mentality isn't correct. I need to change the mentality of this football club. But players are going to get very, very annoyed or pissed off with Jose when he goes out saying things like that. I mean, that's not even an in-depth point. That's just a throwaway it's a throwaway comment, right?
It's like, I'm great, they're not.
Yeah, at least if he went into detail, players might say, well, I agree or disagree with you, but, fair enough, I respect you. But it was such a throwaway kind of, high school bully type of comment, it was just loose, and it's not like him. But as I said, I think he knows the writing's on the wall, that if he could be gone this summer. I think there's a good chance he will be gone in the summer. You think he's thankful that there's not football supporters in the stadium, because he would be under an enormous amount of pressure at Tottenham. That the experiment of win at all costs Jose versus the Tottenham way.
Arsenal then 3-0 against Liverpool. So again, it came up in Monday Night Football last night, which I think probably shapes debate in a lot of ways. But that's an interesting point in itself, that the whole football fraternity across the UK watches Neville and Carragher run the rule and everything. And man, they went for Arsenal. They really did. So Neville was making the point. He said, this is really worrying. He said he was on commentary, and usually when the full-time whistles goes, he gets up and goes out. But he sat there looking at the pitch, almost thinking, what have I just seen here? And so he was giving the impression this was really troublesome. In particular, and he showed a few clips of the front 6, but especially, the real front players just not working hard. And he described them as like the mafia. Almost like this is get the manager sacked territory. Carragher was really laying into Aubameyang. He'd been late for the North London derby a while back. What reaction would you get in the Europa League? It wasn't great. West Ham, before the international break, he was terrible. He was substituted, and again, substituted against Liverpool. And he was saying, this guy's after getting a £300,000 a week, give or take, contract. Is this another Ozil? And it was just like no silver lining, nothing good about this situation was their take on Arsenal 0, Liverpool 3.
No, there's absolutely nothing. I have to agree with everything you just said there. Aubameyang's been a disaster, considering he's captain of the football club.
Yeah.
After he was late for that North London derby, which you can kind of, I won't say accept, but it happens. People are late. The managers obviously set down ground rules that, if anyone's late, they're not playing. Oh, hang on a minute, here comes Mane. No, nothing. He would have been disgusted that his captain arrived late, especially on the eve. But I suppose a manager has to stand by his principles, because as soon as he kind of flinches there and says, okay, one rule for one rule for my captain and one rule for everyone else, then, he's in trouble. So I understand that. And then I think it was Olympiacos in the Champions League, or the Europa League, the week after, and he was dire in that as well. And just on the topic there of what we were on about earlier, Joe, of could you imagine going to the training ground and there being a fight in that Chelsea or in that Arsenal dressing room?
No.
You just couldn't imagine it. Your captain drives around in I don't even know what colour his Lamborghini is, but it's a bright, shiny, mirrory type car, and he's sitting in traffic on, in Holborn or wherever he was, caught in traffic. I mean, it's just not a good look for the football club, that your captain doesn't try, and he seems to be the flashiest one of the lot. I think he's the one setting the tone for the football club, and it's not a good look at the minute. And I just think there's a lot of young boys there that will be heavily influenced by him. And if he's setting the wrong tone, and he's the captain and he's the highest paid player, and the club have pretty much said without saying that he's our main man, he's our guy, he's our example setter here, and he's showing up late and he's driving around in flash cars, he's not training properly, he doesn't try in the game. Because what ends up happening then is all the young kids go, oh, well, Aubameyang doesn't track back, or Aubameyang doesn't run, and they gave him all that money. Well, I don't have to.
Yeah. This is a side point, and it's not about Aubameyang as such. Did someone having a flash car sound alarm bells in your head? Did you not like to see that? Did you think, not sure about this?
Not particularly. I mean, players are entitled to do what they want with their money. Don't get me wrong. You can, you get your contract. Good luck to you. So I'd be very reluctant. I'm not going down that hard-nosed kind of road.
It's quite an old-school road, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I think there's a line, Joe, that you're a captain of Arsenal Football Club, and you have. I mean, again, you have to look up online the colour of the thing.
You better be right about this, are you?
Yeah, it's a mirror. It's it's a gold. One's a gold and one's like a rainbow colour mirror. It's just an unnecessary.
Extravagance,
trapping, that you don't want that to be the tone of your football club.
Oh yeah, in fairness, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's stupid, right? I mean, it's totally unnecessary.
It's bright. It's like gold or something. Yeah. Fair enough.
So, what I'm saying is, that's what's driving into the training ground every morning. That's your captain. That's what everybody in the football club is looking to. Not the guy coming in at 7 a.m. lifting weights, working his backside off, tracking back, leading the football club. He's probably arriving in late in that.
Yeah. It's funny, in my head I said, I guarantee you Harry Kane's a black Range Rover. And I just Googled Harry Kane car. Didn't disappoint. Navy Range Rover.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm not that type of person that goes down the road of cars. I don't want to be that old guy who just... It's not a good look, that. But what I'm saying is your captain driving in that is just not ideal, to be honest.
No,
It tells you an awful lot about what's going on in that club.
And I do understand your kind of hemming and hawing about. There are issues with that point that they don't hold up, and there'll be exceptions to every rule, and it only tells you so much. And when things are going great, we'd be sitting here saying, well, look, that's what a player needs to express himself and feel good about life and to enjoy his wealth, and that's part of what makes him tick. So there are all those aspects as well. The point is, when you scored 22 league goals last year and you sign a whopping new contract and you're currently on 9, then it's not great. So that's where Arsenal are. Jesse Lingard, 6 goals in 8 league matches, back in the England squad, 28 years of age, on loan. He said himself 2 years of not playing regularly didn't help him, and getting the rhythm and everything. What's his ceiling? Okay, look, the current form is so eye-catching, but I still don't think he's in the Man United first team.
Geez, I don't know, Joe. I mean, he's in the form of his life at the minute. He really is benefiting from kind of getting away from the cloud that he was perhaps under. I know the fans turned on him a little bit at United.
Yeah, they did. They lost patience with him. He was inconsistent. When I say I don't see him in the United first team, I sort of mean, on current form, geez, you throw him in because he's red hot. I just mean over the course of the next 2-3 years, which is what they would be countenancing bringing him back for. He could prove me wrong, but I think United fans had given up on him. Yeah,
there's always this thing though, Joe, that when a player has been out of a squad for a year or two, and then all of a sudden he gets loaned out to West Ham. I've seen it numerous times. It's almost like the cow's been let out after the winter. They're bouncing around the field, and that seems to be where he's at the minute.
What would you know about cows being let out in winter?
I was watching a video the other day, when they're inside. There's a funny video on the thing there of cows bouncing around the field that were left out after the winter. They were extremely happy.
Okay.
And I think it's. I might be wrong in that.
Listen, it's a lovely thing to see what Facebook thinks is the algorithm thinks you will like. It's a lovely insight into your personality.
Yeah, but it was a happy video. You Google it, cows getting left out after winter. It's a very, very good video. Anyway, I think that that's what Jesse Lingard is basically like.
Yes, the relief. The relief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that will wear off after a while. That happiness, pretty much by the end of the summer, the cows moping around the field, eating grass, the initial exuberance does wear off, and he probably will end up. But I think from Man United's point of view, it's good because if they want to sell him, I think West Ham would pretty much pay a king's ransom for him at the minute, and then they'll be left with him when he does resort back to that normal kind of Jesse Lingard inconsistency type of way. Or maybe he's finally got his head down and focused.
True.
But that's what Manchester United to make.
Because he is talented. There's no doubt he's a really good player when he's in the mood. It's all been going off at the Etihad. I mean, this Madrid-Liverpool game in front of us has sort of, I wouldn't say it's kind of burned out, but it's calmed down a lot. The chances that were happening haven't quite been happening, whereas at the Etihad, Marco Reus equalised for Manchester City in the 84th minute. And just in the last moment, Phil Foden has put City back 2-1 up. But Dortmund might look at that and say, away goal, 2-1. That's not a terrible night for us by any means. So that's where City are this evening.
No, they'll be absolutely delighted with that. I mean, I think when the draw was made, Dortmund were probably one of the teams a lot of clubs would have been looking for. They're not in a great place. They're quite ropey. They do have the best young striker in the world, but they're not particularly great at the minute. They kind of just scraped through against Sevilla. But an away goal for them is fantastic, and it gives them something to play for going back to Germany. But I still think Man City should have too much for them, even back in Germany.
You would think so. Listen, we're right out of time.
Brilliant.
Thanks so much. Always great to catch up with you on a range of things.
Lovely. Great, Joe.
All right, Damien. Take care. Damien Delaney with us this evening. Say again? Gone. Sorry, said something there at the end. He's gone to watch pigs running around muck or something. Damien Delaney with us this evening. So 4 minutes out of time in Madrid. Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1, and we're also into injury time between Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund. 2-1 to City now, the latest from the Etihad.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Fake crowd noise? The Emirates never sounded so good. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Get away and book a stay this year in the Talbot collection of 4-star hotels in Wexford, Cork, Carlow and Dublin from just €129 for couples and €199 for families. Plus, kids stay free. Enjoy outdoor activities and access to our leisure clubs. For flexible booking options, visit talbotcollection.ie.
Welcome to Go Loud Jazz, the new home for jazz music in all its forms. Big band, bebop, smooth, and everything in between. Featuring a mix of new tunes and famous tracks by legendary artists, from Monk and Davis, Parker and Coltrane, to Ella and Billy. Go Loud Jazz. Fascinating rhythms. Download the Go Loud app now for free. Go Loud. Podcasts, radio, and music to your ears.
You deserve more than a bank. At On Post Money, we understand that big decisions are easier to make when things work with you, not against. So, whether you want to get a new car or landscape a summer garden escape, you'll find a loan that's built around you with our new low standard rate and simple process. Visit onpost.com/loans or your local post office. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. New applications only. OnPost acts as a credit intermediary on behalf of Avantcard DAC. OnPost Trading as On Post Money is authorised as a credit intermediary by the CCPC. Avantcard DAC Trading as Avant Money is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Today, you can alleviate stress on your company finances and stress on the electricity grid by participating in demand response with NLX. By adjusting your energy usage for just a few hours per year, your business could receive a welcome revenue boost, and we could all benefit from a more sustainable future. With NLX, the power really is in your hands. To find out more, visit demandresponse.ie.
Let's take a mindful moment on News Talk.
I'm Keith Barry. Creative visualization is a fantastic way to attain mind mastery. Simply close your eyes and visualize the moment in your life when you are happiest. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Then squeeze the first 2 fingers and thumb of one of your hands together. This will act as an anchor, and anytime you want to trigger that memory and those feelings, simply squeeze the first 2 fingers and thumb together again, and that will release the feel-good hormones into your body.
Another mindful moment from News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Ready for your next big move? The trip from the fridge to the couch. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Herrera, what type of midfielder is Herrera? He's not a box-to-box. He's not defensive. He can't do a killer pass. Why is he on the pitch for? For what? See him come here and boss us at Old Trafford. This is Man United talking. See him come here and boss us. Rojo, what was his tactics? As soon as you get Rojo, just boot it. We're not Stoke. We're Man United here. What? That was diabolical, that. Martial, he's playing against a centre midfielder in doubt. Take the fucking on! Take him on and fucking do it! With Man fucking United, that was diabolical!
So, Champions League quarter-finals, first legs come to a close. It has gone full-time in both games. Manchester City 2-1 winners against Dortmund. All ended in a bit of a flurry there. Dortmund with a late equaliser, and then Phil Foden giving Manchester City the slenderest of advantages going into the second leg in Germany. Away goal for Dortmund, so they'll be happy enough with that. And then, hard to know how Liverpool feel about the game this evening. They were 2-0 down at half-time. It was pretty ugly. Then they did manage to get an equaliser, and that was much improved. And then they gave away just such a pressure-free goal from a Madrid perspective. It was just far too easy from a throw-in when they had time to get set and get ready, and it was short throw-in, and it was passed back to Modric, and it was dribble into the box too easily and passed to Vinicius, and suddenly 3-1. So disappointment ultimately for Liverpool, but they are back at Anfield with an away goal, and stranger things most certainly have happened there, but we are talking about a different Liverpool. So that's the football this evening. Should mention, by the way, in the Championship, Norwich City have beaten Huddersfield by 7-0 is a full-time this evening in Championship. Football on Off the Ball is with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit gamblingcare.ie. Tomorrow morning, OTBAM 7:30 as usual with the lads. So a reaction to tonight's Champions League results, I'm sure. There'll be rugby analysis with Louise Galvin and an interview with Clive Tilsley as well, the ITV commentator, coming your way. And then tomorrow evening, Masters preview. We'll have Wednesday night rugby. We'll try and get Rog on the phone for you. And I know he's a busy man at the moment, but obviously a good Friday for him at Kingsholm and a big weekend upcoming against Sale. Champions Cup quarter-finals on this weekend, and Dan McDonnell will be on the football show as well. The Champions League tomorrow has Bayern taking on PSG. That should be a great game. And then Chelsea are away to Porto. So that is the scenario tomorrow. In the meantime, of course, Richie McCormack is in for Tom Dunn, and that's next.
They lacked four of them things tonight. Granted, it's at a training ground. It doesn't feel like a quarter final even looking at times. Real Madrid, albeit the better team, but it's like Liverpool turned up for a training match on a Monday morning. Few lads hangovers, few lads ate too much breakfast, few lads didn't do their pre-activation, few didn't get